If the 40 million Azerbaijanis living inside Iran were to rise up, many analysts agree that no force in the region could contain a mobilization of that scale. That warning, increasingly repeated in strategic circles, reflects the level of tension building between Azerbaijan and Iran. As the conflict moves dangerously close to its borders, the tone in Baku has hardened significantly. Officials and commentators close to the government have made it clear that they see recent events as a direct threat to national security. According to statements broadcast on Azerbaijani state television, those responsible for what they describe as acts of terrorism against the state will ultimately regret it. However, the key issue is not only the possibility of a military confrontation along the border. What truly concerns Tehran is the internal dimension of the problem. Because any confrontation between the two countries would not necessarily remain confined to conventional military operations. It could also trigger tensions within Iran itself. Azerbaijani media claim that the Iranian clerical regime is playing with fire. They warned that if a serious incident or military escalation were to occur, millions of Azerbaijanis inside Iran could react. For some commentators, this population has spent more than 2 centuries waiting for an opportunity to redefine its political and cultural role. Before analyzing the fear this creates in Tehran, it is important to look at the military preparations along the border. According to various security assessments, Azerbaijan could join a broader coalition at any moment, potentially including the United States and Israel. Israeli sources suggest that Azerbaijani armed forces are preparing for possible precision strikes against Iranian targets. Among the systems mentioned is the LoRa ballistic missile, developed in Israel and designed for long-range precision operations. The possibility of Azerbaijan participating in military operations against Iran is being taken seriously in Israeli intelligence circles. Reports from Israeli Channel 11 point in the same direction. Baku could join military operations against Iranian targets if the situation deteriorates further. However, if Azerbaijan were to become directly involved in an open conflict, it is highly unlikely that it would act alone. Turkey maintains strong defense commitments with Azerbaijan. While not always presented as a formal alliance, these ties carry significant political and strategic weight. Amid rising tensions, the Turkish chief of staff held a phone conversation with his Azerbaijani counterpart. At the same time, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan spoke extensively with Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev following recent incidents. For many analysts, these contacts indicate that Ankara is closely monitoring the situation and could intervene diplomatically or strategically if the crisis intensifies. On March 6, 2026, Azerbaijan deployed additional military equipment, including artillery systems near the Iranian border. However, from Tehran's perspective, the greatest risk does not come solely from these visible military movements. The real challenge lies within its own borders. While Azerbaijan has a population of around 10.5 million people, Iran hosts a much larger population of Turkic origin. Various estimates place the number of ethnic Turks in Iran between 20 and 30 million, with some calculations even higher. This makes the Azerbaijanis the second largest ethnic group in the country. What is particularly relevant for Iran's political balance is that this community is present at almost every level of the state: in the armed forces, in intelligence services, in commerce, and in religious institutions. In fact, even Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei has Azerbaijani roots. Within the upper ranks of the Revolutionary Guard, in parliament, and in religious institutions, there are prominent figures of Azerbaijani origin. In a scenario of deep political crisis, some analysts warn that loyalties could rapidly shift. The strategic question is unavoidable. If Iran's political system were to fracture internally, which side would these actors support? Another key element is the city of Tabriz, considered one of the most active centers of political mobilization inside Iran. This city has played a significant role in multiple national protest movements. From the Green Movement in 2009 to the fuel protests in 2019, to the demonstrations following the death of Mahsa Amini in 2022. There is a strong cultural identity in this region, and according to several researchers, also latent separatist sentiment that has remained contained for decades. An illustrative example occurred in 2006 when an Iranian newspaper published a cartoon considered offensive to Azerbaijanis. The reaction was immediate. Hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets in Tabriz and other northwestern cities. The third factor is geopolitical. Just across the border lies Azerbaijan, a secular, relatively prosperous state with strong ties to the West. For many Azerbaijanis in Iran, that country represents an alternative model. After Azerbaijan's victory in the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh War, national sentiment among Azerbaijanis inside Iran grew stronger significantly. The fourth factor is demographic. A large portion of the Azerbaijani community lives even in Tehran, which means any political movement would not be limited to border regions. And the fifth factor is economic. Northwestern Iran is one of the country's most industrialized regions. Tabriz's industrial infrastructure, from textiles to automotive production, plays a key role in the national economy. Any serious destabilization in this region would have deep economic consequences for Iran. Tensions increased further when Iran bombed a civilian airport near Nakhchivan, an extremely sensitive region for Azerbaijan. According to many observators, the timing of that attack could not have been worse. From Tehran's perspective, this episode has activated one of its greatest strategic fears: the possibility that tens of millions of Azerbaijanis in the north of the country could shift their political stance in the case of a larger crisis. According to Professor Nasim Ghafarov, a specialist in Azerbaijani studies, Baku's frustration with Iran has been building for decades. For around 30 years, he argues, Tehran acted as an economic, political, and even military supporter of Armenia, a country that for decades controlled nearly 20% of internationally recognized Azerbaijani territory. Armenia, with political and logistical support from Tehran, destroyed 65 of the 67 mosques located in those occupied territories. According to reports, one of them was even used as a stable. These events are frequently cited by Azerbaijani analysts as an example of the deep resentment accumulated over decades of conflict. During the 44-day war in 2020, while Azerbaijan attempted to recover territories lost for nearly 3 decades, Iran allowed the transit of Russian weapons into Armenia through its territory. From Azerbaijan's perspective, this was seen as indirect intervention. At critical moments in the war, Iranian units deployed near the border are also believed to have obstructed Azerbaijani logistics movements. After Azerbaijan's victory, tensions did not disappear. On the contrary, according to sources in Baku, Iran attempted to maintain influence in the region by supporting separatist structures in Karabakh. Convoys carrying supplies to those areas were reportedly intercepted by Azerbaijani authorities. The rivalry continued to intensify. In just 3 years, Iran conducted 4 large-scale military exercises near Azerbaijan's border. Officially described as routine drills, they were interpreted in Baku as strategic intimidation. Another major point of friction is the proposed Zangezur corridor, a land route that would connect Azerbaijan to its exclave of Nakhchivan through Armenian territory. Iran has openly opposed this project, fearing it would alter the regional balance and reduce its influence. Meanwhile, Azerbaijan insists it has acted with restraint. Even during recent tensions involving Iran, the United States, and Israel, Baku has avoided direct military action against Iranian territory. The Iranian president was invited twice to Azerbaijan and received with full diplomatic protocol. According to Professor Ghafarov, many claims that Azerbaijan militarily supported Israel lack verifiable evidence and reflect more of a propaganda narrative. At the same time, Iran's strategic situation has become increasingly complex. The country is facing pressure on multiple fronts. From the south, tensions with the United States and Israel have intensified significantly. Military reports suggest that part of Iran's missile capability has been degraded following strikes on strategic installations. Some nuclear facilities have suffered damage, and part of its military forces remain deployed in underground positions. In the West, the situation is also unstable. In a recent incident, NATO intercepted an Iranian missile that entered Turkish airspace. The United Kingdom has deployed a destroyer. France has sent an aircraft carrier. Europe is signaling that it is ready to increase its military presence if necessary. And in the north, Azerbaijan is watching closely. The country has modernized its armed forces with advanced Israeli technology and maintains growing military cooperation with Turkey. Although Baku insists its priority is stability, it has made it clear that it reserves the right to respond to any direct threat. However, for Tehran, the most delicate factor remains in